Tell me, you mentioned the word EBITDA. Why don't you explain to maybe some people who aren't aware of those few letters what exactly that means, please?
Well, the primary driver of value tends to be earnings. I mean, that's been the case in most of the public markets, but also in the privately held markets. People are acquiring, or companies are acquiring other companies for the purpose of generally speaking, the biggest factor that influences value are the earnings of that company. Now, the challenge is financial statements, especially for privately held companies, are prepared they're mainly tax driven. They're prepared for tax purposes. So what would you think? What would you think the primary motivation is? To keep the value, keep the earnings as low as possible, so you're paying as little tax as possible.
Right.
And there are many strategies to do so. But the challenge is when you're valuing a company and when you're selling a company, the goal is the opposite. It's to maximize the presentation of these earnings. And that's what EBITDA is adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And when I'm saying adjusted earnings, we take a look at, we'll look at up to 60 different things we'll look for when we go through each line item on a financial statement. We'll look for one-time or non-recurring expenses that perhaps brought profitability down that we're going to add back or recast back to the financials.
As a profit.
Yes, as that would have been profit. Yeah. For example, if you went through a lawsuit, unusual lawsuit, or the company went through a move recently,
yeah, sure, or
applied for some unusual licensing that required a capital outlay. These are things that aren't normal expenses and they have to be added back. Additionally, in most closely held businesses, there are a number of shareholder perks and fringe benefits as well that have to be identified that tend to drive down value. Salaries. Shareholder salaries can be really, they're discretionary.
Sure, large.
And you have to normalize the salaries and add back any excess salaries. Non-cash expenses such as depreciation, amortization, these are accounting expense items that have to be added back for the purpose of presenting the company and value and maximizing value in the company. As I said, there's about 60 potential items, and we look at each item on the financial statement to make sure we capture everything, because you want to present that, you want to make that financial presentation as best as possible.